Hello, my name is Nisha Sharif, and you're watching Decoding Careers, where I talk to professionals about their careers. Today, we have Faisal Rahman, who works as a physiotherapist for Highland Rehabs. Now, here's some information about physiotherapy. On average, the salary for a physiotherapist ranges from about $80,000 to $110,000. Physiotherapists are required to have a Doctor of Physical Therapy or DPT degree and licensure in the US. After undergrad, it's about 3 years in a DPT program to become a physiotherapist. And in general, it will probably take about 4 years of schooling. So how are you doing today, Faisal Uncle?
I'm doing great. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to
Thank
talk
you.
on this profession.
Thank you so much for being here. So, as always, I love doing a little bit of research about the career so I have a little bit of in-depth knowledge about the career and I can connect with the people I'm interviewing more. And a lot of questions I had seen come up is what is the difference between a physiotherapist and an occupational therapist?
Um, Physical therapist and occupational therapist basically is a team member of a team of the rehab team. Occupational therapist basically works in the rehab environment by making the patient more stronger as they are using their small joints like fingers. If they have to get the coffee from the coffee cabinet, so getting those muscles stronger. So, right regarding their certain kind of the activities of the day, so the occupational therapists work more on that concentration, getting the patient from the bathroom to the bedroom, the bathing activities. So all of those activities come under the occupational therapy. Whereas physical therapy in general, we work a lot of with the whole body, improving the range of motion. We are teaching patients to how to manage their pain by different exercises, by getting the patient to their maximum rehab potential by different exercises. So our scope is on a different aspect. We work much more on the lower extremity also. Occupational therapists generally work on the upper extremities, especially the hand areas and the fingers and those kind of joint and musculatures.
Okay, so it seems like you just like kind of gave me like a little bit of insight. Now to give me some more insight, could you tell me what 3 words best describe your profession and why?
I would say physical therapy is a very rewarding. Its profession is very empathetic. You have to have empathy. Uh, you have to have the basically this profession has the collaboration, so it teaches you how to collaborate. So that's the top three. I'll give it to you.
Okay, so I know I had described this earlier and I had talked a little bit about it, but as you had probably gone through this process and learned all about your career, what the educational background is required or is best for your profession?
um, it's basically entry level doctorate, Rob. I mean, physical therapy is being overlooked by Federal State of Board of Physical Therapists, FSBPTE, and the recommendation is basically 4 years of undergrad, then 3 years of master's plus doctorate. So it's an entry level doctorate now. So every physical therapist that is passing out nowadays is basically holding a doctorate degree. So it's called DPT, Doctorate in Physical Therapy.
Okay, aside from that, are there any special certifications or trainings that are required for your job other than like the doctorate that you were just talking about?
There are tons of it. As you progress in your um, undergrad, and then you go to the master's, then you go to doctorate, then you start realizing what your interests are. Some people like orthopedics, like a bones and all those. Some people like uh, uh, pediatrics, like a child physical therapies in the children, and some like women's health in the women's concerning physical therapy issues, and some like neurology. So I mean, depending on what your interest is, there's tons of certifications you can optionally keep on going, getting enrolled in.
Okay. Earlier, you had talked about how being a physiotherapist is really rewarding, and my mind just spun like many different aspects of how. And I would just love to grasp how. So, could you describe to me a typical day in your job?
Sure, a typical day would be basically it is multifaceted. I mean, there's not a single day that I could say that okay, I'm gonna just it's a straight line. It's always something. It's all intertwined. Uh, First of all, you look at the list of the patients, then you make a plan of the care, then you make a plan in your mind how to implement that plan of care. Then you have a role of supervising also. You're supervising the physical therapist assistants. You're supervising physical therapy staff that is in the clinic. If you're working in a clinic setting, you're doing documentation at the same time while you're seeing the patient. You're doing the documentation so that you're not uh, adding to your work. You have to submit the documentation every day. By the end of the day, you're doing collaboration of care because when the patient comes to you you're calling the doctor's office, you're calling the nurses, you're calling the patient's family if there's any concerns. So there's different angles to a single day that you have to work on.
It seems like you would just need a lot of different skills for your job. So, what do you think are the three most important skills that are needed for your job?
For a physical therapist,
Mhm.
I would say first of all, the physical therapist has to be a knowledgeable person. That's number one. Uh, then I would say compassionate, the care, like the passion for the care. I mean, you have to have that fire in you. You cannot be a good physical therapist unless you have that uh, fire in you to care about people and uh, to help others. And number three would be a good communication skill because you're part of the team at the end of the day. So you have to be a team player. You have to be a rounded personality at the end of the day because you're following a MD's plan of care. You're bringing your plan of care into the play also, and then you're looking at the nursing skills also, that how that is working. So you're basically a part in the whole this puzzle that you have to be a very active part.
Definitely. And I think that kind of just like plays like you are very integral to the team. And I'm sure like you're there for everyone. And that can pose a lot of challenges. Could you give me some insight to what some of the challenges that come with your profession are?
Sure. On the day-to-day challenges or journal in general?
You can do either. I feel like they both cover a lot of um, what
I
this.
would say time management. That's a big challenge because you are juggling, you're having different hats at one time. You're talking to the family, you are supervising, you are doing documentation, you are implementing your plan of care. You have to keep the patient happy. So there's so many different angles. So time management is the number one thing because you have to give your 100% in that treatment time that you're offering. So you cannot be good in one case and then worse in the other one or average in the other one. You have to be the best in every case you get every day. Um, Second, I would say it's the long hours. That's a challenge also. Uh, then I would say you have to be physically stronger also because a lot of times obese patients, you're dealing with a lot of obese series. There are a lot of patients who are physically challenged, so you have to lift them up, you have to make them stand up, there's patients who are neurological deficits like stroke and all that. You have to turn them, you have to make them sit up. So physically you have to be stronger. So it has this profession comes with lots of physical demands. um, you have to continue having so basically in our physical therapy, once we pass our boards, we have to have a certain continuum medical education, uh, those hours that will renew our licenses. So we have to keep on adding to our knowledge base. So we need to keep on educating ourselves. So we have to get time out for that also, and take tests, so that we keep ourselves updated with the present times. So these are different challenges, and it's a part of the practical life.
And you had talked a lot about time management earlier, and that kind of just asks the question of how do you balance your personal life with your work life?
That's a challenge for everyone who's in the practical life. That's a question for everyone, and it's very hard. It's very hard. Basically, what I do is, uh, I try to take time off for personal family vacations. I try not to bring work to home. Try to finish documentation at my workplace, because it's a ripple effect. Once you bring one thing, then you start bringing other stuff, and then the whole weekend or whatever days you're off, it just gets consumed. And by the time you're going back to work, you're already exhausted. So you need to have a break from work to get yourself energized for the upcoming week or upcoming hours, or whatever your schedule is. So basically, working on your own personal development, taking time, not bringing the stress home, is also a part of it. So that's different aspects of how I try to balance my work. And
Okay, now here's the very last question. This is the most important question. So, to everyone watching, please pay attention now. And this question is, what advice would you give to a high schooler who's trying to be a physiotherapist?
um, yeah, that's a good question. So basically, stay focused. Uh, if you want to become a physical therapist, you need to see what are the prerequisites, what university you're eyeing on, what prerequisites they want. Every university has a different, or community college has a different prerequisite to go and get into it. So plan ahead of time, so that you are not, uh, you're focusing on those prerequisites from day one. I would say try to find opportunity to do observations uh, in a clinical settings. You can always, I know a lot of students come to the facilities with the approval of the corporate sector of the company, that they observe only. They're interns. They're observing. They want to be physical therapists, so they want to see how we are doing and all that. So they have questions like you have. So by looking at it, and then they do get certificates and all that, so it helps them to get into the program also. And then it also gives the clarity of mind to the high schoolers, that okay, this is the path they want to go. Um, the other thing is that do a lot of community work also, because a lot of universities or schools look at what are you giving back to the community, and are you of that caliber, that do you have that caring aspect to you. So it's a different, so that's where you start at, and then you progress from there.
Okay, Jazakallah khair for that amazing advice, everyone. This is Faisal Rahman, and he works as a physiotherapist. Jazakallah khair for being here, and thank you so much for agreeing to this interview.